Your turn to take us on a journey.
Let me take you on this strange journey, the strange rabbit hole that is the New World Order, the Great Reset, the whole shebang. And let's see, we're going to start with the Great Reset here.
We need a Great Reset.
Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable.
A new world order
is possible. When do we want it?
Come with me, Basil, and everybody listening, to a little journey down travel chaos. We got a bunch of stories I'm going to rip through here, and there's a theme that emerges, and I think a direction in the travel, what's the exact word? Aviation industry. So here we go. Okay. We're going to start things off. Huffington Post here. Bill O'Reilly caught on tape blowing up in airline worker's face. And yep, he's an everyday man at the booth of a JetBlue thing here. He tells this poor worker that he's going to be violent with him, and I don't know, there's a whole thing. But it kind of set the tone of like, well, people seem to be unhappy near or in airplanes, and what's the deal? Why is everybody so upset? Why is everybody so uptight?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because stuff like this is happening. This is mirror.co.uk. Passengers desperately hold plane door closed after it flies open mid-flight.
What?
Footage and images appear to show that at least...
That's everybody's worst nightmare on a plane.
Yeah. At least 2 passengers holding the door closed on a flight from Jordão to Rio Branco, Brazil. They reportedly continued to do so until the plane landed. So, I mean, the video footage isn't as dramatic as I thought, but definitely some people sitting down and they're, you can tell that there's some guys holding the door in. So, yeah, be afraid. The aviation thing is not so good, or we're outdated because, it's just not good. And we're going to focus in on the UK here. This is independent.co.uk, I believe. Yep, Indy. .co.uk headline: Wizz Air, WIZZ, Wizz Air nightmare as families dumped 200 miles from London Gatwick and told, quote, find your own way home at 4 a.m. So what? These people just getting dropped off 200 miles away from their destination, and then the airline telling them, figure it out. You guys are close enough. So passengers were forced to pay 200 to 500 pounds.
That like the UK version of Spirit Air?
Something like that. I don't know, but this is a bad look for Wizz Air.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad name, but okay.
Yeah, bad name, but also, but it gets worse, Basil, because today, this is thesun.co.uk, stay grounded, more than 100 UK flights canceled today. And here's a list in affected destinations. The reason for the cancellation is being suggested due to staff shortages due to COVID or a reduction in schedules.
Due to COVID or a reduction. So one guy got COVID.
Yeah, one guy got COVID.
And the rest was reduction in schedules.
But it seems like the main point is staff shortages. Oh, we're canceling flights because of staff shortages, which is kind of like, that's... I don't know, I guess, but that's sort of weird. That's a weird thing to say at this point in time.
You need staff.
Yeah, which is sort of where all this is headed. Also, at the bottom of this article here, it says both the airlines have been, I think there's another airline, both the airlines have been forced to cancel thousands of flights between them in recent weeks as the travel industry suffers from a shortage in staff. The CEO of Ryanair has warned that Brits should expect the travel chaos to continue for months. So yeah, there it is. Travel chaos, and we should expect it. And I would imagine this is going to come to America and all over the place. And as I was sort of going through all this stuff here, I found this article, and we're going to go to the ground for a moment. We'll go back up to the air. This is again independent.co.uk, and the headline here: highway code changes will allow drivers to watch TV in self-driving car. So this is in the UK. There are currently no vehicles approved for self-driving on roads in the UK, but the first could be given the green light this year. And there's a new code, part of the new highway code, people that have self-driving cars can watch TV, which means, they can be on their phone or their iPad or something like that, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like, okay, so you got transportation being done automatically, and then they want you to
that's kind of the dream. That's what everybody wants
you can be
to
distracted
do with their self-driving car.
And then it gets into some more interesting stuff here, because this I thought was sort of the punchline. This is PSU.com. This is some kind of PlayStation news outlet. And the headline here is 5 Ways AI Will Change the World. This was published on April 19th, 2022. And it outlines the different things in AI. Number 1 is cybersecurity. Number 2 is transportation. Ghost ships, trains, and planes. AI will impact the automobile industry by enabling self-driving vehicles that do not require human help. With the advancement of technology, these vehicles are positioned to become mainstream by 2030. A lot of this is self-driving cars, but we'll get back in the air in a moment. Thanks to Google's contribution to auto vehicle development, while Boeing is building an auto airliner.
Yeah.
Driverless trains and have already been deployed in European countries. So I was like, oh, interesting. Boeing building an auto airliner, this automated airliner. So I looked into some of that, and the first thing I found was this Boeing partnership. Boeing and Microsoft deepen partnership in digital aviation. And it says here, through the expanded collaboration, Boeing will leverage the Microsoft cloud and its AI capabilities to update its technology infrastructure and mission-critical applications with intelligent new solutions that are data-driven, further opening new ways of working, operating, and doing business. And there's a quote, the power of the Microsoft cloud and its AI capabilities will serve as the core component to Boeing's digital aviation strategy by providing flexible, agile, and scalable solutions that are intelligent and data-driven. Okay, so there's that. And then I found this one here from Gizmodo, the story, headline, Boeing's newest AI combat drone gets a spooky animal name, Ghost Bat.
Cool.
Ghost Bat.
Ghost Bat.
We have these AI. Yeah, we got these AI drones that are already out there. I think this is going back to the whole sort of COVID, the issues with the masks on the planes and everything else. This sort of a collective complaint about airline industries in general, and just the whole deal. I think it's leading to a place where they're going to really try to hit that reset button through. Hopefully, it's not some kind of like horrific event, but I think they want to automate all flight. And I know they already have some of that. Like there's a lot of automated systems in aviation already, but I think the goal here is to make it so it's all automated to the point where AI is just running all of the transportation systems on the air, in the air, on the ground, and trains, and of course drones and everything else.
Oh yeah, I mean we've certainly, I remember in the early days of Canary Cry NewsTalk when we were following AI, self-driving cars, Tesla, all that stuff, and we would talk about, hey, sooner or later they're going to try to automate everything. There will be no humans in charge of transportation, and we had some critics who were like, yeah, but I mean, we're not going to see that for another 50 years, probably not even in our lifetime. This is like a comment. We know it's gonna happen, but it's silly to be alarmist about this. And, who knows exactly why one would be alarmist, except for it's just another symptom of the technocratic, robot-controlled human experience on Earth. And we kind of stuck to our guns a little bit. Like, I don't know, man. It seems like in the next 5 or 10 years, this is going to be the thing, the shift. Now, this was way before we knew anything about COVID-19, or anybody did really. And yeah, as we know, COVID-19 being the number one catalyst for automation.
Accelerator of all technology. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially for automation and AI controlled systems. And we've got, I think I like the way you lined it up. We've got airplanes, airlines dropping people off hundreds of miles away from their location because of staff shortages. We've got
just flights canceled because there's not enough employees. You got Bill O'Reilly yelling at some guy. In the future, Bill O'Reilly's going to be yelling at a robot. like a robot kiosk, and then people are going to
Yeah.
be like, Bill, it's just an AI thing, you know? And they're
Right.
like, "Ah," he'll just keep yelling, do it
And we've
live.
seen article after article after article about how the airline experience, like flying, the experience brings out the worst in
Right.
people, and
Yes.
the
It's so
airline
inefficient,
workers
and
are the most abused people in any industry, things like this. And so I think the setup is perfect. Yeah,
And-
just put the robots in charge.
And if you follow the patterns of history, it's the military that initiates the technology first and implements it, and then it gets implemented across the board. So in this case, we
Boeing-
have Boeing,
Being-
AI drone Ghost Bat,
Right. And Boeing being one of the biggest beneficiaries of the military industrial complex. I mean, you kind of forget it because Boeing doesn't get put in the list of like Raytheon and Halliburton. They're not the scary weapons manufacturers.
right.
But Boeing is one of the largest contract holders with the military industrial complex.
Yeah. They're big-
Every
big
war
bail.
that happens, Boeing profits almost as much or more than the other more traditional military industrial complex corporations.
they're one of the too big to fail companies because they got bailed out during COVID. They're one
yeah.
of the companies that just got that would have folded, but of course the federal government stepped in and
Right.
yeah, you can go listen to we did an interview with Josh Peck. I think we disagreed on that point. It was a political sort of argument there, but yeah, it was friendly banter. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting sequence of stories that leads to, because I kind of just went down the trail of like, okay, what's going on with this? Because the Bill O'Reilly story was one thing, and then the 200-mile the passengers being dropped off 200 miles away was like, well, that's weird. And then I started noticing there's a bunch of flight related stories, and I don't know, it's just interesting because we also had all that footage. If you look at social media in the last couple days when they did the mask mandate, the federal judge squashed the mask mandates on traveling and all that stuff. You get all these viral videos of people in planes, cheering and throwing their masks in the air and all kinds of stuff. And so I just thought it was interesting that when the American public, at least in the West here, when we're like, sigh of relief with all this mask stuff, and so much attention was drawn to people acting inappropriately because of the mask mandate on airplanes, and then you have this whole thing, especially in the
they
UK.
created criminals. We
Right.
talked about, yeah,
Right, and then you have this UK thing. So just all of it is. It seems that the problem, reaction, or solution thing is being laid out. Like here are all the problems with the aviation industry, and this
expertly
is
done.
and not even including the energy side of the conversation with fossil fuel and oil and all that stuff. The aviation industry being one of the largest consumers of the old